Hi, I'm Shana Bosler. I'm the Director of Coaching for our Learning and Development Department at Emergenetics International.
I'm Brad Hoffman. I'm the Director of Global Operations here at Emergenetics.
So Emergenetics just recently launched a new presentation about miscommunication in business. And what this is talking about is the intent impact gap, which means that sometimes the effect of your communication lands on somebody in a different way than you intended it to. And so today, well, first of all, what we know is that this happens quite often in business. And what Brad and I would like to do is give you some examples of how this shows up through the lens of the expressiveness behavior. Before we do that, though, we want to show you our profiles.
So I am a blue-green 111. So that means I'm analytical and structural for my thinking preferences, and my behaviors are all in the first third. So expressiveness in the first third.
And I am pretty much the opposite. I am a social conceptual thinker, meaning, and I'm also, I'm third expressive, second third assertive, and third flexible. So Brad, how does this third expressiveness impact you in your day-to-day?
Sure. So one of the first examples that comes to mind for me is when I'm working with a colleague who's third and we're brainstorming together, trying to think up some new ideas. What I will hear from my third colleague is lots of processing out loud, lots of ideas coming to the table, whereas I'm generally thinking through things in my head, and I may only bring one or two ideas to the table, but I've thought through lots of different things. So when I'm hearing all of those ideas, I may be thinking through, oh, I need to figure out how to get that done, and oh, that's a pretty big idea, we've got to figure that out. It's almost like I'm having a list of things to do, when really that third expressiveness is just thinking through and processing out loud all that's going on inside their head.
And I imagine that's really frustrating to go back to your office and think I've got all of these things to get done now.
It certainly used to be. So what the profiles help me to do is recognize that I can kind of temper that inclination to think that all of those ideas are actually something that I need to go back and do. It's more just, here are just lots of different options, and what I've learned to do is clarify what are the things that I need to take away from this conversation to actually pursue.
And what I've learned to do from a third expressiveness standpoint is if I'm talking with somebody like Brad, I'll say, hey Brad, I just need somebody to bounce ideas off of. I don't expect anything to happen with this. I just need you to kind of bat some things around with me.
Totally get it. So what about you as a third? How does a first third affect you on a day-to-day?
Well, as a facilitator, what's interesting is that I sometimes expect people to interact with me in the audience like I do when I'm in an audience. So when I'm in an audience listening to a speaker, oftentimes you'll see me, like you see me now, nodding my head, smiling, engaging in a way that they can see on my face that I'm actually really interested in the topic. Is that how you show up in an audience?
Probably, unfortunately for facilitators, no. I'm generally listening intently, but you're not likely to see it on my face. So I can totally see where a facilitator may not be sure if I'm engaged or not because they're not really seeing a whole lot of reaction from me.
Yeah, and so as a facilitator now, if I've got somebody who's third in the room, they most likely won't be showing a lot on their face. And I could take that as they're not interested. But what I can do now is understand that most likely they're pretty much listening. It's just that they don't show it on their face. So what the profiles really helped me with is to not make assumptions about how people are engaging in my presentation just by how they're looking at me.
So there are lots of ways that the profile can help us in our day-to-day, help understand and help close those intent impact gaps. To learn more, click the link to access our slide share in the post above.